All right, everyone. We are going to have another one of our world famous animator interviews. And today we have all the way from Australia, Wayne Dixon. Hi, Wayne. How's
How
it
are you?
going?
Yeah, good. I don't know about world famous animator, but yeah, Australia is
Oh, you
world
sell
famous.
yourself short. Um, usually I start with have you done any work that you think my students might have seen of yours?
Um, it depends on the age of your students.
Sure.
The most widely seen things that I've done is for Fuzz Studios, a lot of the super simple songs stuff on YouTube. So
Okay.
Little Snowflake has had billions of views.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
that was yeah, it's kid stuff on YouTube.
So if my
It's
students
like
have kids who are very young, or the way I'll probably see them, because I just had a kid, so
yeah,
probably like a year from now.
you'll see Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on YouTube. That's had over 2 billion views or whatever. Um, that's the one with the owl and the star, not the dodgy owl and the star, because some other channel like ripped it off and did a dodgy version. The one that
Okay.
looks nice. So yeah, that's most of my stuff that people would have seen. The super simple song stuff. The
Hmm.
rest is probably all the work I do at CG Cookie. So just
Okay.
teaching animation, teaching rigging, and yeah,
Hmm.
just helping people learn. And then the rest is like um, I run my own freelance company. It's a one man company, so it's basically just me. And if someone needs a job done, I might hire a few artists to do the jobs, the parts that I can't do.
Sure.
And yeah, I take care of the animation and the rigging. And sometimes I'm taking care of the things that I don't know how to do because there's not enough money in the budget to pay someone who knows what they're
Right.
doing.
All right. So, what I usually kind of start off with all the people I interview, where does your love of animation come from, or
I
design, or just general kind of,
It's yeah,
arts,
we think
graphic arts? Yeah.
a love of animation comes from. I
Hmm.
remember when I was in a kid, I used to love to draw, and there was this assignment in grade 4 or something like that, where it's like draw a picture of something that you wanted to be when you grew up, and I was like
Right.
an illustrator. I wanted to be an illustrator, and then it was a lesson of the teacher who was like, "Oh, now draw if you what you would want to be if you were the opposite sex." And
Okay.
it was her, and I drew a computer programmer. And the lesson that she was trying to teach was like, oh, why can't girls and boys do the same thing? So, like there's
Sure.
not girl jobs and boy jobs. And when
Right.
that was the point that she was trying to make. But when she came to me, it's like, why did you draw something different? And I'm like, I wanted to do lots of things. I wanted to be an illustrator and I wanted to be a
Right.
computer programmer. And then like 20 something years later, it's like I'm doing digital animation. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not drawing, but I'm doing like animation and computer programming. It's all kind of meshed
Sure.
into one. So it's kind of I don't know. I'm living my primary school dream.
Aw, there you go. So
But
did
I
you go
kind of
to, Mhm, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I did go to I think you're going to ask where I actually learnt animation,
Yeah, I was just gonna
but
say if you went to art school or not,
I
or
went to
something.
online school. But
Okay.
I started my kind of the spark for animation came when I think when 3D movies 3D animated movies got good.
Hmm.
And you were like, oh wow, Pixar stuff like
Right.
not Toy Story. I thought Toy Story was good, but it was
Hmm.
kind of like Monsters Inc.
Okay.
And Finding Nemo. It was like, well, these worlds are being built. Like this is great. 3D animation is great. And um, I found Blender online, and it
Hmm.
was like, what? You can just teach yourself. So I just started teaching myself and
Okay.
getting really into it. And I found like I was trying to like consume everything that I could. I was books and
Right.
like anything I could download on my dial-up internet, I guess, because I'm old. And I kind of hit a ceiling of like what I could achieve being self-taught. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
You don't know how to improve your own work. And back in 2010, I was listening to podcasts, and Jason Ryan came on this animation podcast that I was listening to. And he
Hmm.
was like, I'm starting an animation school. It's online, it's like live classes with industry professionals. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. So I went to iAnimate. online. It
Okay.
started in 2010, and I absolutely loved it. Getting my work drawn over by DreamWorks animators, it was like, oh, now I get it. All those light bulb moments. So I broke
Sure.
through that ceiling of like of what I could teach myself because I had people who were like, oh, hey, get up here. They were pulling me
Right,
above.
right.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Okay, so it sounds like you kind of went the self-taught route. I have a couple other people on here who are kind of self-taught. So after you do that, so you're getting, feedback from, uh, Pixar or DreamWorks people, which of course is, I'm sure, really helpful getting, where do you go from there?
Well, I kind of didn't back. I think I didn't back myself, and I was a jack of all trades. So
Okay.
I was doing like animation was my hobby,
Okay.
but I loved it, and I was getting paid jobs in it, but it wasn't my number one thing. It was like when
Sure.
jobs came up, I would do them, and I would earn my money doing performance and doing all this other stuff, acting and all these things. So they were like a
Uh-huh.
nice little nugget. It's like, wow, I get to do what I really love to do and get paid at the same
Right.
time. And it had this really, I don't know, really nice thing about it. Yeah. But
Right.
back then, I really wish that I had have like just taken myself seriously and gone, right, I'm young. I don't have any responsibilities.
Right.
Take this seriously now. Because I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep continuing what I'm doing. Now I'm old and I've got responsible. I got a mortgage and stuff like that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't go and go to another country to work on a feature film.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I
as
can't,
someone who's kind of, I think we're kind of the same age, and it's like, yeah, at a certain point, it's like you have a significant other, you can't move, or you have to be concerned with certain things, especially if you have a
yes,
mortgage
yeah,
or things like that. So yeah, I totally understand that.
yeah. So when I got good enough to kind of go down the feature film route, I didn't take it serious enough because I was
Okay.
still having fun doing my projects on YouTube that got billions of views. Um,
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
and then yeah, life happens, and you're like, oh, okay, that opportunity is probably gone now because of responsibility.
Sure. And so, you did this work, but now, so where did that kind of lead you? Because you're still in it, right? You still
Yeah,
do.
yeah, still, I still, yeah. So this is animation and teaching and freelance stuff is my full time job now. I dropped all that other stuff. I guess what I was saying is I wish I dropped that sooner. So I took a couple of years of like,
Oh,
should
so
I?
you wish you had like gone to more contract work or independent work sooner than trying to do movies and
Well, no, I wish I had have dropped all of the other things that I was doing that weren't
oh, okay, like
animation.
your non-animation careir.
My
Got
non-animation
it.
career.
Okay.
So I was like, animation was like this much of it, and the rest of it was that much. I should, and then a few years later, I kind of dropped it. So it was like, so now it's all animation. But I just wish I'd made that transition sooner.
Right.
Yeah,
Um, so, tell us for my students, what's a kind of what's a life like for someone who contracts? Like what, how does that work for you? I think my students would say sort of like, where do you look for jobs? How do you, pick up, how long are jobs? Like, can you talk a little bit about that kind of area?
I haven't had a lot of experience in that. Most of
Oh, okay.
the work, um, yeah, I haven't had to look for stuff. So I'm not the right person to go, oh, you go here
Okay,
and
sure.
get a job. But I did, um, I would advise against, I've got some advice on what not to do.
Sure.
And it, what not to do is do not undersell yourself.
Okay.
Um, there are sites like Fiverr and Upwork and all those
Right.
freelance places that are like, oh, someone will post a job and then you're competing with all these freelancers across the world. And that type of platform is a race to the bottom where
Right.
I tried to get jobs on there and people have actually used my work as an example. It's like they've
Right.
used
Yeah. That's
little
horrible.
snowflake. They're like, oh, well, I'm trying to create, hey everyone, I'm trying to create this project. It's going to be like this. And they've used my work as an example. And it's like, oh, great. I really love that you found my work beautiful. I am the guy who did that. You know, the little bear doing the nose. That's me.
Right,
I
right,
did that. And then they tell me about the project, and it's like, yeah, we want to do this 5 minute thing. The budget is $300, and it's like, oh, I don't think you realize
yeah,
that budget was like 40 grand. Like, do you
right.
know what I mean? It's like there's a difference. So I obviously don't get that job to recreate my own work, and someone else does. Someone else did get
Sure.
that $300 job, and yeah. So those type of platforms are a race to the bottom, and you're never going to compete. So I would say, um, if yeah, don't sell yourself short, and your time is valuable. So don't be
Right.
like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of always sort of tell people it's the kind of people who want to use Fiverr are the
Mm,
kind of people who weren't going to pay you much anyway.
exactly. Yes.
I
Yep.
mean, so it's like if or they even if they did hire you, they were gonna expect it in such a quick turnaround, or
Yeah.
that it would have
Yeah.
been kind of a nightmare to work for them anyway. And probably even if Fiverr and Upwork wasn't a thing, even if you couldn't outsource it the way you can now, it still would have probably not been a great experience in general.
Yes. Yes. I did get
And
one job on there, but which was kind of um like the guy he just kept changing his mind. Like he was paying the
right,
money, but it just kept changing. It was not a good project. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
As you said, the people on there, they're not going to be good jobs. And even
sure,
even the good jobs that you get are sometimes really hard.
sure,
Like the budgets are tight. Because if you're doing an advertising thing, they need it really quick, and
sure,
they need it. Um, Everything is now. It's like, oh, the deadline is today. So you've got to do all this animation and rigging work, and you got to try and render it out. Oh my god, some rendering is
right,
yeah. You got to get it all done and improved. And then they're like, oh, we need to change the water. Like the water is wrong.
right. Right.
Like, oh my goodness. So another good thing, a tip for people is to learn how to compartmentalize your jobs to make it as foolproof as possible. So, for example, like render layers, like you're rendering out if you can render out your character from the background separately,
Sure.
awesome. Like, yep, that's the way to go, because they'll always make changes and stuff. And if you don't have to render that background again, you can just put the shadow and your character in there. It's going to save you so many hours of re-rendering stuff. And yeah, so just be smarter with your actual workflow, and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, one thing I learned when this wasn't animation, but trying to like not never try to be too specific because of course they're not going to know anything about the technology, but just literally being like at this certain point, if you change it, it's going to mess everything up, and kind of just explaining that. So it's like,
Yeah,
like they're not going to, I mean, they're not going to, they don't have time and they don't probably care to learn what a render layer is or blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, this takes a long time to fix. So
yeah, yeah,
this is why we have brainstorming sessions. This is why we do, storyboards and things like that so that we can get all this out of the way, so that we don't have to go back. But it's like, if you want to change things beyond a certain point, we can do that, but I have to go back and do all this other things. And so, I'm going to have to charge you because there's no other way. It's sometimes people who don't work in our area think it's just like a simple button press and that's it
that's
because
right.
that's how movies show it, but it's really not. And I'm
I
like,
think you said the magic word there, which was, I'm going to have to charge you. And as soon as you say that, they're like, oh,
right.
yeah, cool. No worries. It looks great. It looks fine. Yep. Perfect.
Well, that's what's always interesting. I mean, I don't work in VFX, but I hear like what happens with VFX people, and it's totally understandable why they get burned out, is these VFX houses are basically just like giving a standard bid to Marvel, but it's like Marvel's allowed to change their mind as many times as they want. And it's like,
Yeah.
but they don't get any more money. I'm like, I would never, I mean, I get why they do it because they want the prestige and, maybe it's a good contract and all that. And maybe, unfortunately, in movies, it's hard to not do that because everyone else is doing that. But it's like, I'm like, I would never just give a blank, I'm going to do it for X amount of money. Like,
Yeah.
because you're going to end up redoing things. Or if I do, I'll do it for this much, but you get two changes. And
Yeah,
anything
but if
after
I,
that, like, okay, I gotta, like, because some people can be extremely picky, like down to like the smallest minute detail. And it's like, I don't have time to go back and change every little thing. And so, yeah, learning how to work with people, that's a important general, skill. But yeah.
yeah, I think that was some good advice about um, putting in extra money. It's like if you two changes or something like that, that's often a good thing. Like you can change something here and here, but if you have to change something later on, it's going to cost you
Right.
extra money. As long as I know that, that's good. Oh, I've got a funny story about, like, I did a job for the Adelaide Airport through
Oh,
an advertising agency about the
okay.
hundred year um, crossing of, like, I forgot his name, but there was two brothers and two mechanics that flew from England to Australia in
Okay.
1917. So this was the job that they did in Adelaide Airport. Or opening up the museum thing, and they wanted some animations for that. And
Okay.
the advertising agency are like, cool. So we've got these um, three people in the plane, so we needed to design these characters or whatever. And it's a whole thing. And I looked up on Wikipedia and stuff like that. I'm like, they're talking about four people. These four people went and flew overseas, and they went with his
Right.
brother and mechanic and stuff like that. And I don't know how many meetings with this advertising agency about. I'm like, dude, Wikipedia says there's four people. Are you sure that there's not four people? No, 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 no. There's three people. There's three people. That's all right, because his brother was the mechanic. So there was two. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fine. It's three people. I had everything finished, and they delivered it to the airport people, and they're like, "Oh, where's the fourth person?" I'm like, I told you. So
Yeah, that's one of those, like, this is why we have meetings and we do, storyboards and all this stuff. It's like, as I like to tell my students, it's measure twice, cut once. If you measure,
yes.
plan all this out, in theory, this doesn't happen or it happens less. But yeah.
So how do we solve
Um,
that one? We just duplicated one of the mechanics, and we just changed his face a little bit, and we go, there, there you go. Problem.
right. So you work mostly in Blender, right? I'm assuming
Yes.
you don't use other 3D tools. What is there? So talk to my students a little bit about Blender. What is it about Blender that you enjoy? Because it's a little different
I
than some other graphic design programs, it being kind of like an open source project, and it's got a very vibrant community of people who work on it and build it as a tool. You even mentioned offline before we started this that you're even trying to learn programming to sort of, or you have learned programming to kind of like add to it. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Blender is open source, which means that the source code is open to anyone to check out and make changes to and do whatever. It's free as in freedom. You can do what you want with it. The Blender Foundation make that available to everyone. Blender is amazing because I found it back in 2003 or something like that, when I was like, young person, I've got a lot of free time. I really love learning. I'm
Mhm.
interested in animation. What can I do? And my brother, I said, I'm going to learn animation to my brother. He goes, dude, that's hard. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. And I'm like, you watch me, buddy. And then um, I found Blender online, and I was like, cool. So that afternoon, it was just a free program. I'm like, I just taught myself, and I made this little green cactus guy, and he moved like this. And then I had the text that said, "Hi, George," because that was my
Right.
brother's name. And then I sent it to him in the afternoon. So I taught myself that, and he goes, "What?" So it was. I just liked the open source. One, I was young and poor. I didn't have any money. I just loved that there
Sure.
was something free that I could
Yeah,
make
yeah.
silly animation for my brother. Um, and the open source community is really, really big. Yes, I have started learning C++ so that I can contribute to the code, mainly because I've been using it for so long. And it's like, oh, I wish it
Mm.
did this. I wish it could do this a little bit differently.
Right.
And so I just coded it. Do you know what I mean? And then I I send it to the actual real developers, and they give feedback on the coding thing, and boom, all of a sudden I've got my code that's in Blender and it's helping millions of people around the world. And it's like that's awesome. You can't do that with Maya. Like you
Right.
submit a bug report with Maya, and maybe in 8 years it might get
Yeah,
fixed.
sure,
Maybe it may or it may not get fixed. But most of that closed source stuff is this a one-way communication. You
sure.
know, it doesn't. Do they listen? I don't know. Like they don't. I don't. I feel like they dictate on like how things are going to go. If something's broken, bad luck. I'm not going to fix it.
Right.
Open source is totally different. Like open source is they listen and they fix stuff, and it's full of wonderful people. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what does your code do that you submitted to Blender?
I
Is it a
will.
plugin or part of the main program or?
Part of the main. So I do both. So I started learning Python
Right.
years and years and years ago, and just little bits by little bits. And it's like, oh, it would be easier if I knew Python to do this thing inside Blender. So I started writing scripts to do tedious tasks.
Sure.
Um, and then through years of osmosis of like reading code and seeing things and whatever, I just got better and better. I've released some tools that people can download for free.
Oh,
One of
nice.
them being the Bone widget add-on that's available on the Blender extensions platform. Um, so that is an add-on that people can use. I've also got the apply modifiers with shape keys. So I'm sure maybe some of your students will know, like if you're trying to apply a modifier and you've changed the mesh, like it's got a shape key on it, Blender will not let you do that. And there's a
Right.
good reason for that. And it's got to do with the data. Like yeah, there's a good reason for that. The workaround is to split out all of those um, shape keys, apply those modifiers to the different versions, delete the existing one, merge them back in, and then recreate everything. So yeah, I just created a Python extension that does that. You just click a button and it does it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and how much easier is it to do that? In
Sure.
terms of the C++ coding, I started, there's the first one that I did, which wasn't the first one that got accepted because I did some major problems with the code, but you can select keyframes like on the left of the playhead or the right of the playhead just by clicking, click, click. It's a really, really
Sure.
fast way of working. Down the bottom, you've got the markers and timeline markers. There wasn't any way to select the timeline markers. And I'm like, why isn't there a way to select
Right.
like so I just looked at it, and I'm like, it's a very similar block of code. It's just this one doesn't have the invoke, which it means it does something extra before it does its thing. Oh, it's missing that. I'll just add that into it. So I took that part from the other code, put it in this operator, tweaked it to make it work, and then all of a sudden you can collect the markers on either side of the playhead, and it's like, well, this is cool. And that had been submitted. I made some errors with the code and stuff like that. That all
Sure.
got
Sure.
fixed. But yeah, that was the first one that I got through. But now I'm working a lot with just some rigging enhancements. So one that's coming to Blender 5.2 is and animation enhancements. When you add an F curve modifier, so say if you want to add a noise modifier, so you want something to
Sure.
shake, something like that, there's really easy ways to add modifiers to all the selected channels. You can just click on them and go click add. There is no way to remove them. You have to manually click on each one and remove it,
Right.
remove it, remove it, or write a Python script that manually clicks on each one and removes it. Coming in Blender 5.2, there is an operator that will let you do the exact reverse of adding them. So you can add whatever type of modifier that you want, and now you can remove them all. You can remove a specific one, or you can remove the top one, because if you've got lots of modifiers on them, you can remove the first one on
Oh,
each of the
nice.
second ones. So that was one that I'm quite proud of. You're like, yes.
Well,
And
they
then
do
there's
say, what's the old saying? Invention is or oh God, you know what I mean.
necessity is the mother of all
Necessity is
invention.
the invention of is the mother of of
Yes,
invention. Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. almost what you said. That's right. Yeah. So
I was so
that's
close.
exactly.
Nice.
You
I
were
fell at the
close.
last minute there.
You've got a young baby at home, so I know you won't be able. Yes, that's exactly right. You're using this tool for 20 plus years, and you're like, I wish it does. Why doesn't it do this? I wish it did this. And then you're like, I have the skills, or I have a brain. I'm going to teach myself how to do it, how to make it
Right.
do. And we're living in an age where you can do that. Like the internet is amazing. You can learn how to do anything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I mean, YouTube is, I mean, as someone who graduated college right before YouTube was really a thing, back, this was, I don't think Blender existed in 2003 as an open source, but, we would get like DVDs of like people, like you had to buy them and like, it was like, oh, this is how you do Maya. And now like you can find so much information for free that, it's really a great time for people who are self-starters and, you know,
yes,
I would say at this point, it's not even about can you find the information? It's about finding a curated to go in the right order. Because sometimes it's overwhelming where it's like you don't necessarily know where to start. But it's more about just like making sure you go in the right order of things. Speaking of
yes,
which, your job kind of now is more in the education area, right? So can
yeah.
you talk a little bit about what you like about being an educator, as one
I
educator to another educator in different forms?
Yes, I love I love being an educator because I see every one of my students as a young version of myself. And
Ah,
on CG Cookie, this is a platform where people have paid to attend. They want to be there. They want to
sure.
learn. It's not like high school where you have to be there. No one's
Right.
interested, right?
As
So I
someone who
see
teaches
it.
college, it's nice because I always tell people who teach high school, I don't know if I could do your job.
Yeah,
It's because people are like, oh, you're a college. I'm like, no, no, no. Being a college teacher is not that hard because the people who come to my class want to be there. And if they don't want to be
yes,
there, they just leave. And I go, okay, see you later. And as someone, I've taught like one summer course where I had to deal with high school kids, and I was like, oh, geez. And they were
it's
actually
it,
probably the better of the kids because it's like, summer college are usually like the more students who
advanced.
take it more seriously, you know what I mean, and are just like messing around. But like, yeah, I mean, having people who are defaultly engaged is half the battle, if not three-quarters of the battle when you're a teacher.
Yes, so these people are on the platform because they want to be there, which is great. And everyone who comes into the animation and the rigging courses, I treat them like um, they're mine. I'm gonna see where you're at, and I want to push you to the next level.
Mhm.
I see them as a younger version of me who wants to learn, and I treat them like, okay, if I was a younger me, what is the right order to do things? What do you need to focus on now? So as kind of like I'm going backwards in time and trying to correct any of the mistakes. I've made 1,000. I've gone down those
Sure.
rabbit
Yeah.
holes of the wrong things. So it's like, right, no, I'm going to help you get to your path in the quickest way possible without those offshoots and going down the wrong the wrong paths. I'm
Right.
trying to be that person that I wish existed when I was learning. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been most things I teach, I've been or self-taught through various ways. Sometimes it's been booked more back in the day, and sometimes it's these days it's usually more through YouTube. But usually what happens is like you said, I had to learn a lot of things and go down different rabbit holes. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And sometimes I realized what I was taught was maybe outdated or not the right method. And so when I teach, I'm like, okay, I went through all these problems so that you get a much more curated, like, here's what I think out of my lifetime of experience being an artist and this, that, and the other. This is what I think are the most important parts that you should know. You can worry about those other parts later, about whether you know this particular program or this particular language. But for now, let's just focus on this. So it's like, I think you and I kind of have that same, it sounds like we're kind of on the same path there, where it's like
Yeah,
you and I have to go through a lot of crap and then figure out what's the best and then mold that into a way to help other people so that they don't have to go through all the crap that we did to learn
well,
something.
they do. I do think they do need to go through a little bit of crap, but like
Well, I just mean like in
safeguard.
terms of skills, not about like
Yeah, yeah,
practice. Like they, of
practice.
course, they need to like practice and fail, but like more like I don't know, like learning outdated buttons or methods that maybe aren't as relevant in 2000, or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, but buttons change with learning art. It's like I wish I was so focused on trying to be perfect. It's like, oh, I
sure,
need this animation to be perfect. And I've realized now, all these decades later, that it's not about perfection, it's
sure,
about progress.
right,
So don't be focused on the output that you get. It's not about that animation that you get. You should be focused on the input. As long as you are putting in perfect input, you're working towards progress. So
sure,
you are getting better. Yes, it's not linear, but like if you zoom out, you'll be like getting better. So this animation you're working on now, it can only be as good as you are now. But the input that you put into your animation now is going to make you a better animator in 2 weeks from now, in 2 days from now, in 2 years from now.
right,
It's so don't try and be that animator from 2 years from now in this
sure.
animation. It's like you can only be as good as you are now. So yeah.
Um, so as we kind of wind down our interview here, so my students are kind of like one semester into Blender. 3D graphics. They know how to make simple models. I don't know when I'm going to post this, but they probably have learned simple rigging, simple animation. Let's say someone is really interested in Blender or just, 3D animation as a concept. Do you have any advice for them?
If they want to take it seriously, you say like
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, let's just say they're interested. Whether that means a job or just, becoming more educated, I don't know. But
okay, I would say if they're interested in Blender and 3D, the world of 3D, learn a little bit about everything first, just a little
sure.
bit, little bit of taste. Like you don't need to get good at everything, just learn a little bit of everything. And then if there's something that you really like, say, oh, I really like rigging because it's the problem solving and you're putting it together. And then
Right.
once you've solved the problem is finished. Yay,
Sure.
fixed, done. Like
Right.
there is a finish point, there's an end point. Then focus on rigging if that's your thing. If animation really sparks you, because that's where I started, was like animation is like I want to make things move. I was
Right.
walking down the street like thinking about like doing floppy arms and stuff like that, going, oh look, I'm breaking the joints, like I'm leading with my elbow and stuff like that. It made it
Right.
really embarrassing for anyone who was walking with me.
Right.
But what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing animation anyway. um, but focus on, if animation is your thing, focus on animation then, and like don't worry about all the other stuff. You've learned a little bit about it, so you're like you know enough, but just hone in and do that thing. I was silly enough to not know that you could specialize in things. I wanted to do animation, but it's like, oh, I need my characters to move, so I need to learn how to do rigging. Oh, I need a character, I need to learn how to do modeling. Oh,
Right.
I needed to look good. So at first I was a generalist, and then I focused in on animation. Um, yeah.
Okay. This is kind of a question I give everyone. You can answer it however you want to answer it. You can answer it from a technological standpoint or from an industry standpoint or just you know, future here. Where do you see the future of animation going?
I I think people are worried about AI.
Sure.
I I, I'm not so worried.
Okay.
I think at the moment it doesn't do what you want. It does what it wants. It doesn't
Right.
do what you want. And I get jobs like I think it's a useful tool where these people who came to me and said we need 3 characters to fly in this plane, and it's 4 people. They sometimes come to me now. They're like, here is this concept that we've done with whatever the AI thing is. This is the type of thing that we're doing. We need you to make this, but good. I think at the moment it's a really good visual reference tool.
Yeah.
Um, because they're like, we tried to make it do what we want it to do. It doesn't do what we want it to do. Um, we want to change. They can't change it. Do you know what I
I
mean?
also think it kind of replaces sort of the Fiverr, which is like the kind of people who would build something with AI because they have to just accept whatever AI gives them,
Yes.
they weren't going to spend a lot of money anyway, because if they
Mhm.
did, they would spend the money to do it the way they actually, their actual vision. But the
Yes.
fact that they're not means even if AI didn't exist, they probably were going to lowball you and give you like, they were going to use Fiverr and spend $300 to hire someone in another country to do it anyway. It wasn't going to
Exactly.
be a high paying gig. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
That
it's like,
is,
or, I feel bad for people who, this is more on photography side of like, a lot of people are going to lose photo gigs, but those gigs were low level gigs. You know what I
yes.
mean? Like, yeah, you're maybe not going to get a dollar here, a dollar there to put stuff into stock, Adobe stock or whatever, but that wasn't a high paying gig anyway. I mean, someone who wanted, if the high paying gigs were one where they're going to want much more control and much more, um, working it out. So that's kind of how I see it. But
Yeah. And
I
I do
mean,
think we're kind of on the precipice of an AI turning point where we can see a backlash. I mean,
right.
there's always been a backlash from the start, but now like people are just cramming AI into everything, like AI in your toaster, AI in this thing, AI
Right.
AI in your pencil. Like, no, what is it doing there? Like, there's going to be a culling of these ideas, and it's going to come back to, oh, this is a tool to assist humans to do their job more effectively. It's not going to replace that, but it's the Wild West at the moment. Everyone's trying to, it's the gold rush. Everyone's trying to do
Sure.
the thing, and it's annoying. But at the end of the day, anyone who wants to make something with their own hands, like on the computer or their own digital hands, that is always going to be there. Like,
Yeah.
people will always want to do that. So yes, AI might come and take those low ball jobs from people, but if you want to be someone who is like talking to their brother on the phone going, I want to learn animation, you can't do that. Like, you will be able to do that and you will have fun doing that. That's not going anywhere.
Sure.
um, yeah, that's going to be around forever. At my work, CG Cookie, the founder talks about how when the light bulb was invented, candle makers were like freaking out. Oh my god, like,
Sure.
candle makers. What are we going to do? But today it's still a multi-billion-dollar industry because it's a
Sure.
specialized thing. It's like scented candles and all these things. And you know what? If the power goes out in your house, you
Right.
still need a candle.
Sure.
You still need a candle. So, or a torch. Okay, I didn't think about torches. Why aren't the candle people like freaked out about torches? Like, torches. What?
By the way, for my students, torches means flashlight in America.
Yes.
Not an
Yes.
actual torch.
Oh, oh, yes, yes. Sorry, torch would be a flashlight. Yes,
Sorry, cultural shift there.
that's right. Aluminum, aluminum.
Yes. I used to live in New Zealand and I first remember, this is a total side tangent. I was in a class and they were like I was a sculptor, so they were talking about like different metals and they're like, this is made of aluminium. And I was like, aluminium? What the heck is that? I've never heard. And I was like, oh, aluminum. Yeah, okay. I know
Yeah,
what you're like I had
aluminum.
literally never heard anyone call it that way before. And I was just like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like
Yeah. Well, America is weird. I think we
we're
can all agree
weird.
on
We don't pronounce H's and that kind of stuff. Um, so right now you're kind of doing stuff for CG Cookie. If people wanted
that.
to see your work or CG Cookie's work or learn more about that, where would they go?
CGcookie.com is
Oh,
where
nice.
that is. That's where I
Mhm.
teach rigging and animation. Yeah, and if anyone comes into any of my courses, you'll be treated to real proper feedback where I do videos, like, yeah, live videos of, not live, so recorded videos of your work, checking your work. Because
Oh,
as I said earlier, like, that was the key thing for my learning. It was like getting proper feedback. Because when you're on the
so is it the
internet,
idea like they record themselves and then you kind of give feedback? Is that kind of the idea?
uh, with the
The
course,
videos they watch, like they watch a
well,
video
yeah,
and
they watch the videos, yeah, but they submit their work. It's like,
okay.
um, and most of the time, all of that is just like, good job, click, high five.
Right, right.
But it's like, I design the learning so that it is like, okay, here are the things that you need to learn. It's scope and sequence stuff. So it's like, here's the thing, and skills development. So it's
Mm,
like, here is a thing that's going to let you practice that thing that you need to learn to be able to achieve that thing at the end, that major task that we're doing at the end. Here's a little practice thing. And I check
mm,
for understanding along the way, because if you don't know, if I see that you don't know which way the world axes are going and you're trying to do rigging, and
right,
or you're parenting the bones to the wrong things, or you're not quite
right.
getting it, you're going to fail that end task and give up, right? So
Sure.
I give lots of
Try to head them off at the pass there.
yeah, it's a check. As an educator, it's check for understanding. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Have you interacted with those tools to get there? Are you heading towards the right direction? Because you don't need to be perfect, as I said. It's like, are you heading towards the right um, uh, direction? Yes. If you're not, I'm going to knock you back so you are
Sure,
going
I
that way.
understand.
Yeah. So yeah,
Great.
so I
Mhm.
do little recorded videos of like correcting people's work if they need it. That's what
Sure.
I was saying. Yeah.
All right. Well, Wayne, we appreciate your time and all the information you could give us. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
very much. No worries. See ya.